So we always do a toast, right? Yep, we always do a toast. 9 times out of 10, we do our toast with some form of rum. We are not doing that tonight.
Right?
We are celebrating our beloved Jayhawks.
Rock Chalk!
And to make a short story really long, when I was doing my PhD at KU, and we got to the dissertation defense, my lovely wife threw a party.
Yes.
And the party was essentially either you're going to be successful at your defending, in which case we're going to sit around and we're going to drink a lot of tequila and everyone's going to be very, very happy, or we're going to sit around and be very, very sad and drink tequila. Right. So she had everybody bring tequila to this party. So we drank a lot of tequila that night.
Did.
And one of the tequilas that was noticeable that evening was the Herradura and Añejo, which I decided that night that I really liked the Herradura Añejo better than I liked the Patron Añejo. Not to say that I don't have both. A toast
to the Jayhawks.
To the Jayhawks. And we'll talk to you about why we're toasting the Jayhawks in a few moments. Right? Still as good as it ever was?
Yeah.
Are they still as good as they ever were? Maybe. Yep. They got a chance at the national championship, which they did the year I graduated. So that's kind of cool. You know, that is really nice. That is a really nice tequila. I gotta say, my palate is so in tune with rum. My first instinct was, well, that's a really nasty rum. Oh, right. That's no. I'm missing those vanilla notes that I usually get off of rum. Ooh, pout. So, we entitled the show Quarantiki number 102, and then there were two, because March Madness is almost over now that it's April. March Madness refers to the men's and women's NCAA basketball tournament, and we are now down to 2 teams in the men's final. And those 2 teams played yesterday. Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. And KU beat Villanova, very strong Villanova team, and KU led wire to wire and won the game, kind of going away. So yay, KU. So we're going to do a cocktail for KU. Actually, we're going to do 2 cocktails for KU. And then North Carolina beat their arch rival Duke in a nail biter back and forth. I don't remember how many lead changes there were, but it was a lot. This is probably, it was just, it was so back and forth. You almost thought it was going to go to overtime. And you went, no, it's not going to go to overtime. It's going to come down to the final shot. And it did, and all that sort of thing. It was really good, really, really good basketball game. And North Carolina pulled it out and ended Krzyzewski's career. Krzyzewski is the coach for Duke for I have no idea how many years, something like 40 plus years or something like ridiculous like that. Hard to ignore. So I thought what I would do is I would hop online and see if there are like canonical cocktails for the Tar Heels and the Jayhawks. There aren't, near as I can tell. There's some really bad cocktails out there. There is something called the Jayhawk cocktail that uses like Bacardi raspberry rum and like one of the ultraviolet blue blueberry vodkas and other things, and it was like, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing it. No. So I had to play around a little bit and see what I could do. So I do have a recipe. So when I think of North Carolina, I think hot. I think kind of sweaty. It's kind of sticky and wanting like a nice lemonade to refresh me. So I went, wait a second, I have a recipe for a cocktail that is lemonade based and uses a liqueur called mastija. Now mastija is flavored with either cedar or pine tar resin. I'm like, wait, pine tar? Wait, that works perfectly for the Tar Heels. Okay, so we're going to do a variation on my homemade mastija lemonade, and we're going to serve that up, and we're going to call that the Tar Heel. And I warn you, it's not going to be pretty, because pine tar isn't pretty, and the cocktail isn't either. But I'm assured by my wife that it does, in fact, taste pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're going to try that. All right, it is a shaken cocktail. So we are going to start with ingredients that you probably don't have lying around the house, which is I happen to have this stuff that I love, and I'm not sure where to get more of it. This is Calabrian's fig molasses. I love this stuff. It is amazing. It tastes so good. It tastes like fresh figs. And what we need is about half a teaspoon of this stuff. It is very sweet. It also kind of has the consistency of pine tar. Yeah, you can't really see that, but it's pretty thick and viscous. Yeah, there you go. And dark, very dark. Yeah, I can throw some on the insides of the shaker tin. You can see it's like won't even move on the shaker tin. I'm not sure if you can see the splatters on the inside there. Yeah, those dark dots. Yeah, that's the molasses.
Christine made it.
Christine made it?
Yeah.
Oh, to the broadcast.
Yeah.
No, she didn't. I bought the fig molasses.
No.
Okay. Yay! Hi, Christine. Yay. We also need a half teaspoon of honey syrup. If I did this entirely with the fig molasses, it would be way too thick and kind of gross, and we don't want to do that. So I need another half teaspoon of honey syrup. And I think the original lemonade does not use the molasses, it just uses the honey syrup, and it makes for a really fine drink. But I needed to get another pine tar element in there, because why not, right? Might as well. Okay, next up, it is lemonade, so we need lemon juice. And we happen to have some fresh lemon juice. This is 1.5 ounces of lemon juice that we're going to pour in here after I have a shot of tequila. Yum. 1.5 ounces. So 1.5 ounces. So there's 3/4 and 3/4 lemon juice. It is a lemonade base. Right? Okay. And then 1 3/4 ounce of mastiha. Mastiha comes in a bottle that looks like one. This is one of the brands of mastiha out there. I was introduced to this at Captain Gregory's in a cocktail that they had. They were playing around with it, actually, trying to figure out what cocktail to put it in, and gave us a taste of it. And I went, that's really unique and interesting. I think I have to have a bottle of it. And we've had this bottle for 4 or 5 years and just been drinking little bits of it here and there. It is really tasty. It's a liqueur. It doesn't clock. It clocks in only at 30% alcohol, right? So this is a low ABV. Just using this, it's a low ABV cocktail, right? Because it's only 60 proof, right? 1 3/4 ounce. So there's the 1 ounce. And here is 3/4 ounce. I'm sorry, my energy seems to be really low. For whatever reason, this afternoon, I just wanted a nap. I could not stay awake. I got a little bit of a nap, but didn't get enough, apparently. So I'm still kind of groggy, so not entirely on my game this evening. The Tar Heels, the color for the Tar Heels is a light baby blue. And so we need to add some blue into this. We're going to go ahead and do that with the vibrant blue curacao. I know it's not the same. And I was hoping that we would get a kind of light blue color from this cocktail, but we totally don't because the molasses is just way, way, way too dark. So 1/4 ounce blue curacao. Here you go, Tar Heel fans. There's your blue color. And when I originally made this cocktail, I just made it with the mastiha as the only spirit in there. Look at that in the blue curacao. I think it needed something. I think it needed a little kick. The team's better than just a 30% alcohol. So we're going to kick this up a notch. We're going to go with a Lemon Heart 151. And we're just going to add 1/4 ounce here. This will add some interesting notes to it and also kick up the ABV and make this more of a spirited cocktail. All right, that's it. So we've got the fig molasses, honey syrup, lemon juice, a little rum, a little mastiha, and a little blue curacao. We're going to throw some ice in here. Actually, I'm going to take this teaspoon that I've got, I'm going to swirl it around in here, get the rest of that fig molasses out. I'll try. Yeah, whatever. Close enough. Oh, I did forget something. Lavender bitters. The lemonade I make has lavender bitters in it, and I really like the addition. So we're going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4. These are actually really light dashes from this bottle, so that's probably about 2 dashes from a normal dasher bottle. And then we're going to add some ice. We're going to shake it up. We're going to pour it into a glass, and you're going to look at it and go, "Oh gosh, ugh." And I'll agree with you. But it is supposed to be reminiscent of pine tar, right? So there you go. So that goes in there. And yes, I do have a number of coworkers that are Duke fans, and they're going to be very sad tomorrow. But I do have a couple of coworkers that are also North Carolina fans, and they're going to be happy. But that's also going to strain work relationships as we go for the national title. All right, so we're going to shake this for about 20, 25 shakes, something like that. Interesting sounds it's making. Apparently that seal was not entirely tight. How's that taste? Yep, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so what does this go into? I think we just poured this into a standard rocks glass. So we're going to go with rocks glass. We are going to strain it. I don't think there's a real need to double strain this. I don't think I really care. It's only North Carolina. So there is history between North Carolina and KU. KU had a very successful basketball program under Roy Williams as head coach, and Roy left a very talented KU team and decided to go back to his alma mater, which was North Carolina, leaving us in sort of a lurch. So I'm not going to say we hate him for that. We don't, now that Roy is retired. But, like I said, there is that history between North Carolina and KU. And North Carolina does lead KU in a number of national titles. KU has the most number of regular season, or most number of wins in the NCAA competition. It's a whole thing back and forth. All right, so here we have the Tar Heel. And if you don't have to serve this over ice, you could just serve it straight.
Hold that in front of the camera.
Yeah, if you hold that in front of it's really disgusting looking. And it's even more disgusting when you don't put the ice in because it's thicker and more viscous. Yeah. It has almost a greenish cast to it, a greenish brown cast. So I'm going to have to remember this kind of combination in the future because I like that color for the Cthulhu-esque drinks.
It's yummy.
So we're going to drink this.
I like that.
Yeah, that's really tasty. The addition of the 151, just that quarter ounce, which is a difference from the first time you were tasting it.
Yeah.
There's a backbone to it now that was missing. Yep, that makes it better. And makes it more tiki-esque, so I can do it on Quarantiki, right?
Yep.
There you go. So there is the Tar Heel. I'm sorry it's not light blue, but I'm not sorry I'm not putting in weird ingredients to try and make it light blue, because that would be disgusting. And we don't want to do that.
We got a greetings, Rock Chalk.
Yay!
From Ruth.
Rock Chalk. All right, so there you go. There's the Tar Heel. I know it's not blue, but it's kind of like pine tar, so except it's not that thick and disgusting. Now I could, if you wanted. I mean, we could add some of the thickening ingredient to this and make it kind of gooey and pine tarry, but I think that would just be playing too much with the whole pine tar thing, so we're not going to do that. Okay, so there you go. There is our drink for the North Carolina Tar Heels. We wish them well, just not a lot of well. You know, they've done fine. It's time for them to go home. So tomorrow night, Monday night, KU and North Carolina are playing for the national title. we've done a drink for the Tar Heels, which means we need to do a drink for KU. As I mentioned, there is a Jayhawk cocktail out there that is just disgusting with flavored Bacardi and flavored vodka in it, and I think it's actually intended to be a shooter. And I got to admit, at least from my memories of Lawrence, Kansas, that's probably in keeping with most of the drinking habits of Lawrence, Kansas and the students there. Not a high craft cocktail quotient in Lawrence, Kansas. But you can graduate and go on to better things, and so that's what we're going to try and do here. Kindred Cocktails, the site that I've talked about on a couple of occasions, fantastic place. You can find all sorts of drinks and stuff. Actually has a cocktail called the Jayhawk. I was like, okay, well, what is that? Gee, I really wish there was something in the description that explained why this individual decided to call this drink the Jayhawk, because I don't see any connection whatsoever to the Jayhawks. But it's called the Jayhawk, might as well make it, right? So the second drink we're going to do is untested, untried cocktail called the Jayhawk from Kindred Cocktails. So you would expect, because KU's cocktail colors are crimson and blue, that there would be something red in this and there would be something blue in this, and there is neither. What there is bourbon, tequila, and Aperol. What? Star looked at this recipe and went, that can't be good, right? That doesn't sound good in combination with one another. And I'm like, let's give it a try. So we're going to give this a try. So I looked around down here, and I didn't see anything in the bourbon category that I really wanted to use for this cocktail. But I can go bourbon adjacent, and that's what we're going to do here. So the main spirit here, we're going to go with a sour mash whiskey. This is the George Dickel recipe number 12, which is, it's perfectly fine. I know there are bourbon purists that are screaming at me right now, but deal with it, all right? What are you doing logged into this show? There's many, many other shows that are about bourbon. We're mostly about rum, so you can give me all sorts of grief about this. Isn't bourbon, right? It's also not rum, so whatever. Then it calls for tequila, specifically a Reposado tequila. You would not believe the amount of trouble I had finding a Reposado tequila in my collection, because I have young tequilas, and I have añejo tequilas, and I have one, maybe two Reposado tequilas, one of which is this nice nifty little bottle of Patron. So we're going to use that for our tequila. I also have some Reposado mezcals, but I thought the mezcal would be taking this too far away from where it was intended, and I really was not aiming for a nasty drink.
So Bruce says, true about the cocktails, although we do have a ton of really good local microbrews.
That's true. Kansas is much more known for their beer than they are for cocktails. And that's kind of a sad thing for me, because I don't like beer, so we don't tend to make beer cocktails on here, because I won't taste them, pretty much is the way that goes. I have decided that there is a way in which I like beer, and that's in beer cheese and beer cheese soup. That's pretty much... There's a couple of breads that are made with beer. That was okay. This morning we actually had beer donuts. Yeah, we had chocolate stout. And those did not taste like beer at all, so that was okay. They tasted like chocolate donuts. So there you go. You might be noticing that there's a lack of sour ingredient and there's a lack of sweet ingredient. No, this is a straight up 3-ingredient solid cocktail in the classic form. And because of that, because we're not mixing any fruit juice or syrups or anything else in here, this is actually going to be a stirred cocktail. So we're going to start with 1 ounce of bourbon. We are not going to use this jigger that has blue curacao in it until I wipe out that jigger, because that would be like clean out the jigger. I'm not going to wipe it out. I do wet work on my jiggers. I guess I do. I pour alcohol in, and that's kind of wet work, I guess. I don't know. So 1 ounce bourbon, in this case, Tennessee whiskey. Yes, I could go into all sorts of what are the differences between Tennessee whiskey and bourbon. But frankly, I don't want to, and it would have required me to do a lot more research to make sure that I got the details right. Because while I know them, I don't pay enough attention to what the exact differences are, and I don't want to tell you something wrong or incorrect. So there you go. Then we have 1 ounce Reposado tequila. Here we are using the Patron Reposado. Something just happened to my accent. I don't know what. Is tequila, so I have to have a really
No, you
bad.
don't.
No, I don't. I shouldn't do that. All right. 3/4 ounce Aperol. So 1 ounce bourbon, 1 ounce tequila, and 3/4 ounce of Aperol.
Colleen says, yeah, the donuts were good.
The donuts were good. And there we go. And this is totally unlike the Jayhawks because this is going to be an orange cocktail. I don't understand. I don't know. But, you know, whatever. Whatever. It is a stirred cocktail, so we're going to put some ice in here, and then we'll stir it. That's what you do with stirred cocktails, right? North Carolina Duke game was a really, really good game, I got to say. North Carolina could do nothing to stop Duke in the paint. They were outscored like 46-20 in the paint. Those are things like layups, running into the key and shooting from there, that sort of thing. But every time they would run down and go up in score from shooting in the paint, North Carolina would come back and shoot the three and, you know, drain the three-point shot and be right back in it. So it was very interesting, a clash of styles and just seesaw game. Very, very good game. I'm not going to say that the Villanova-KU game wasn't a good game, because it was. But, you know, Villanova did close the gap to 6 at one point, and, you know, us KU fans began to get a little nervous at that. At one point, our lead was 19. But it never really felt out of control for KU. So yeah, there was none of this lead changes. There was none of the, oh my gosh, it was like, is Villanova going to go on enough of a run to actually get back in the lead? No. So, you know, strange things can happen in basketball games, so you're never really sure. But it wasn't a particularly close game. There was exceptional play on both sides, but still. Okay, that's seems like a perfectly fine, reasonable cocktail. Still, I have no clue why this is called a Jayhawk. I kept like thinking that maybe something would come out and we'd go, oh, that's why this is called the Jayhawk. Nope, no clue. Let's put this in a coupe. What do you say?
Poop!
Coupe. Coupe, sir. There you go. Nice orange cocktail that has nothing to do with the Jayhawks. Except the name of the drink. Now look at that. Right there to the wash line. So I should point out this drink does have a garnish with it, which is a fresh lemon peel expressed over the top. I do not, in fact, have any more fresh lemons. They all went to the squeezing. So I could do a spritz of lime across the top or something along those lines. But I think I'm just going to leave it. Maybe I'll drop a... No, I think it looks fine like it is. Just a little bright orange cocktail that's going to be very whiskey-esque.
David says, our homemade donuts are bagels now. Tasty. I know he made bagels the other day. Probably making bagels instead of donuts.
That is not a drink my wife is going to like. Almost guaranteed. So we're going to sit here and we're going to watch her face. Yeah, no. I got to say, this is one of the rare times where Kindred Cocktails has let me down.
Yeah.
This does not do it for me in terms of a cocktail. It isn't even complex.
No.
The tequila and the bourbon actually merge pretty well together. I'm a little surprised by that. But the Aperol is the standout here. The Aperol
Yeah.
is like the, hi, I'm here. I don't belong here. I don't know why you put me in this cocktail. And, and same thing. So maybe, here's my guess, is that this was actually put together by someone that went to either Missouri or K-State. Because, yeah, they're just not competing with us. So could I make this better? I could. There's some interesting notes here. The, I really think the Dickel and the Patron play very nicely together. I just that third component, the Aperol, does not work for me. I would have to think seriously about what a third component could be here, and whether or not it would be worth taking this and just transforming it into a sour, for instance. So drop the Aperol out and go something with lemon juice and a simple syrup, maybe something along those lines would probably
It
work.
is created by a KU fan.
Okay.
It's created by AJ Vanderhost.
Whoops. It's stuck to my mat. That's why it poured out. It's not because I didn't want to drink anymore. Yeah. I don't know. This does not bode well, because usually when I do cocktails for each team, the better cocktail has signaled the team that wins the sporting match, right? It's the last couple of Super Bowls we've done that. We've done cocktails for each of the teams, and the better of the cocktails ended up being the team that won. So this does not bode well for my beloved Jayhawks, which is okay, because what I decided to do was, well, I wasn't sure about that cocktail.
And the person who wrote it is a author.
So what I thought I would do is I'd put together a third cocktail, and this is my backup for cocktail for KU. And I believe I called this the Rock Chalk. Is that right? I don't remember what I said in the description. Something along those lines. Anywho, so we're gonna do that. I'm just burning through here. We don't actually have, like, we didn't pick up any new merch or anything to talk about this week. It's been kind of a slow week in that regard. I don't know. I'm getting ready to go to Kentucky for a while. Oh, that'll be fun. God, that'll be fine. But in any case, I thought what we would do. It's the Rock Chalk Grog. Is that what I called it? I think I called it the Rock Chalk Grog. Something along those lines. So this is actually a riff off of the Zombie Grog that you can find a recipe for in Potions of the Caribbean.
Rock Chalk Grog.
The Rock Chalk Grog. So this is a riff off of a cocktail that appeared in Potions of the Caribbean by Jeff Beachbum Berry. It shows up in his Total Tiki app. And what we're going to do is essentially we're playing around with the sweet component of this in order to do a nice cocktail here, a nice riff off the grog. Now, this is not what I was originally going to do for this third spot. For the third spot, I was going to do a drink based upon KU's colors, which again are crimson and blue. Well, there is a crimson and clover cocktail out there that uses gin and grenadine, and it has a float of port wine on the top. And it looks really pretty. I really have trouble associating gin with KU in any particular way. That just doesn't seem right to me. And I was like, well, okay, but if I'm going to do something, I can't do a crimson and clover because clover has no linkage to KU. So I'd have to do crimson and blue. What am I going to do for blue? I can add blue curacao to it. And I got to tell you, that drink, when I made it, was equally as disgusting in color as the Tar Heel and tasted worse. So we decided we were not going to do that. I don't know what the deal was. There was some combination with the homemade grenadine and the port and the blue curacao and the gin that it just didn't work. Did not work at all. So out that went. And instead, we went with the Rock Chalk Grog, which, again, new recipe, crossing our fingers here, Now, I'm willing to say that if this one doesn't come out, then your betting odds should probably be on North Carolina. Because, I'm trying here. All right, so what are we going to do? We are going to do a blended cocktail. So we're going to take a blender tin right here like this. I will need a tiki mug for this cocktail, so the wife will have plenty of opportunity to go find a tiki mug that is reminiscent of the Jayhawks in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what the heck that would be. So what I've done here, the grog requires a passion fruit syrup, and you're not going to believe this. So I found at the market today. Yes, this is a Gatorade bottle. See the G right there, Gatorade? But I didn't know that the Gatorade had a passion fruit flavor. But they do have a passion fruit flavor. So I went, well, let me taste this and see what it tastes like. It's actually a pretty nice passion fruit flavor. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, it's not passion fruit forward, like a passion fruit puree or a homemade passion fruit syrup or something along those lines. But we're going to use the little blue guy. All right, all right. So what I have for a syrup for this cocktail is kind of a combination. It's 2-to-1 of this passion fruit Gatorade. I know it sounds disgusting, but it's not. And the homemade grenadine. That really is good, and it is really reminiscent of passion fruit, which is very nice. So we're going to start here with 3/4 of an ounce of this. And what I have here in my little tumbler is about 1/2 ounce. So I need another 1/4 ounce to go in here. Doop, doop, doop. There we go. So there we have 3/4 of an ounce of, what are we going to call this? The Jayhawk mix? Something like that? The fog mix?
Yeah.
Fog mix. Yep. All right. And that will go in here. Comes out brown, because everything I do today turns out brown, aside from Aperol, which is bright orange. 3/4 of an ounce of allspice dram. We are going to use the St. Elizabeth's. I don't want to overpower this with too much of a spicy component, and I think that the cotton and reed would be a little much for this. So there we go. So there's 3/4 of an ounce allspice dram from St. Elizabeth. That goes in there. Sweet, clovey, all those kind of Christmas spices that are very, very tiki-esque. Don't ask me how we got to Christmas spices from Caribbean cocktails and Asian food and tropical environment, tropical Pacific Polynesian-inspired environment, which is tiki. All of that combined together. I don't know how that happened. 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice.
We have 2 comments.
Oh no.
David.
What did I do?
If you're not careful when you mix crimson and blue, you end up with KSU purple.
No, I've just ended up with brown. So he's like...
Elizabeth says, appropriate to use Gatorade in a March Madness drink.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Elizabeth, was that, hey, Gatorade, March Madness, seems like it's appropriate. We do have another sour component coming in here, and this is 3/4 of an ounce of white grapefruit juice, freshly squeezed just this afternoon, actually this evening. There we go. Thank you again, David and Chris, for those white grapefruits. I do not understand how white grapefruits can survive in Ziploc bags for months on end. It should not be possible, but they're doing. All right, we need an ounce of a gold Puerto Rican rum. Okay, Puerto Rican rum is going to imply column still rum. You can use almost any clean column still rum that you want, and you could use Puerto Rico, you could use Cuba, or in this case, I'm going to use Nicaragua. I'm going to use the Flor de Cana 12-year. Really like this rum. We're going to go 1 ounce Flor de Cana 12-year right there. Soup. And then we're going to go 1 ounce of another rum. And in this case, we are going to visit our French friends in Martinique, and we're going to do a rum agricole. So once again, the difference between most of the rums that you will find and rum agricoles is that the rum agricoles are done from fermented sugarcane juice. Almost all of the other rums are done from molasses, fermentation of molasses. This gives them a very, very distinct grassy flavor. We want 1 ounce of this. It does specify an aged gold Martinique or Guadalupe rum agricole. So that's what we're doing. We're doing La Favorite, which is the brand imported by Ed Hamilton, right? So you've seen Hamilton rums. This is also that same importer. In fact, it says Habitation La Favorite. 1 ounce, right? Looking at my recipe board over there to my left, 1 ounce. Unlike a lot of your tiki drinks, this is not going to be very aggressively powerful. These are both clocking in at, what, 40%? Right at 40%. Yeah, so this is 43%. This is not an overpowering, and we're not reaching for a 151 to kick this up or anything else along those lines. Okay, what we are going to do is we are going to add 8 ounces of crushed ice to this. But before we do that, I'm going to reach over and I am going to grab some tiki bitters. Not Malay bitters, tiki bitters from Bitterman's. Dun dun dun. This is my addition to this cocktail. There we go. We're going to go 2 full dashes of this. The Bitterman's bitters, I am finding more and more frequently. It used to be you'd have to go to a specialty cocktail shop for these. Now I find I can get these at most of your liquor stores that have them. Oh, there is a hand raised.
Lieber & Company makes a caramelized fig syrup.
Oh, caramelized fig syrup from Lieber & Co. I may have to investigate that. All right, so in addition to the 8 ounces of crushed ice that's going to go in here, there is one more component that some of you may go, ew. But it also, I think, goes with the athletic theme of this, because what's better for you? I mean, you've got some Gatorade in here to keep up your electrolytes, and you need something to replace, protein loss, right, or to build muscle. So yeah, here's 1 egg white. There you go. Happy morning, all of you Rocky fans. Happy Rocky Balboa. All right, we are going to go 1 scoop, because that's 8 ounces of ice, crushed ice. And then this is going to go under the blender for 5 to 10 seconds. And then I am going to extend executive privileges here. Also because this is my last chance to get a KU drink right. And I'm going to taste this before I pour it into a mug. Because, well, then, if it's not right, I can add other ingredients to try and change this up. Oh, that's going to be spicy and delicious. Yes, sirree. Big, foamy cocktail. Wow. More stuff in here. We need a bigger glass. So there we go. Nice. It's got a nice foamy head on it, kind of like KU beer. So we're going to stick a straw in there. Surfside Sips, bamboo straw.
All right.
Here, this is one of the narrower ones. This is not, so here, we'll go. Here's its big brother. This is the big brother of that. There we go, right? And this is the littler one. The wee one right here, right? Why am I going with the wee one? Because I can. I don't know.
And how can you get 20% off?
How can you get 20% off from Surfside Sips?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can go to their website to order straws and type in the promo code Lovecraft, all capital letters, LOVECRAFT. I don't even think you actually have to do it all caps. I think whatever version of Lovecraft you want to do is going to get you that 20% off. Please do. We get a tiny fraction of that back, which subsidizes our straw habit. I'm going to taste this. One of the nice things, so with egg white cocktails, often you have to shake really hard, do a dry shake in order to get the foam build up. That's not the case. You can get with blended drinks. you can get a nice stable foam like this by just sticking it under the blender. So I'm hoping that this one's okay for my wife here. It's pretty baking spicy heavy. I don't know. She may not like that.
But do you like it?
I like it.
Okay.
I think the allspice dram is too heavy in that cocktail, but it's definitely a grog. There's no getting around that grog. So there's your head on that.
That's much better. It is a little too allspice dram.
See, this is what I was afraid of using the cotton and reed. It would just completely take it over.
Huh?
Yeah, I think the allspice dram needs to be cut back like in half.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
And you'd be
I
fine.
agree.
All right, so don't get into foul trouble. That's what that is.
Right? Oh, right. Okay.
There we go. So tomorrow night, all comes down to the big game tomorrow night, and
I'm gonna be cuddling with goats.
She is. She's going to be drinking cider and cuddling
Drinking
with
cider
goats.
and cuddling with goats.
Cuddling with goats.
Cuddling with
goats.
Goats.
Goats. Cuddling with goats.
These are the same goats that do goat yoga, but they have found that there are people who don't do yoga that want to interact with goats. So they are having cuddling with goats at the local cidery.
Because what kind of cidery doesn't have goats, right?
Well, they don't live there.
Oh,
They're
okay.
just coming to visit.
All right. Okay. Because goats like cider?
No, because they want money.
Goats want money.
I think the goat owners and the cidery want money.
So they loan
and here's this way that they can get people to pay extra money to come cuddle with goats and drink cider. But, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'll probably get updates on the...
You know what this needs?
What?
This needs a big sprig of mint sitting right here to counteract...
Didn't you buy mint?
Yeah, I did.
Did you leave it upstairs?
I don't know where I left it.
Oh,
It's probably in one of the refrigerators. So there we go. So we have the Tar Heel, which everybody seems to be really pleased with, aside from the coloration, which is really disgusting. We have the Jayhawk cocktail from Kindred Cocktails, which is a really pretty color that has nothing to do with Jayhawks, and neither one of us particularly cared for it. And then we have the Rock Chalk Grog, which, had I done an earlier example of this, I would have tasted it and gone, oh yeah, it's too much allspice, and cut it back. So, Jayhawks, if you're going to win this game, don't overplay your hand, don't push it too much, and cut back on your allspice dram, and you'll be fine. I don't know what that means in terms of gameplay. Stay out of foul trouble, maybe. Oh, you know what? I did it again. I put it in capital letters on my drink recipe and didn't do it.
Nutmeg.
Nutmeg. Because it's a grog, right? So it's got to have nutmeg on it. Oh, there's some nutmeg in there already. Woohoo.
Right. Colleen thinks it sounds like an excellent idea, cuddling goats and drinking cider.
I'm sure it does, but I'm going to sit there and watch the game. And hopefully my beloved Jayhawks will win another national championship, because that would be really nice. So there we go. Let's see if the aromatic effects of the allspice, not the allspice, what is that? That's a nutmeg. Wow, I am like this evening. All right, I'm going to give this another try. Yeah, I think the allspice dram is still too heavy, but oddly enough, the nutmeg does help counteract that, the olfactory component. That's very strange. Kind of nifty, but very strange. So there we have it. Apparently it's going to be a tough game, because I think the reigning drink is probably the Tar Heel in terms of who liked what the best. So, Hun, do you want to finish off the Tar Heel?
Yep.
Okay. And I will finish off the Rock Chalk Grog.
Oh, and Colleen, there are still tickets.
There are still tickets to the game?
No, to the
to the goat cuddling. Okay. To the goat cuddling. Goat guddling? Guddling? Is guddling a word? We'll look up guddling, Guddling, see if that's a word. It sounds like it should be a word, ancient, archaic word that means, to make out with a goat or something. I don't know.
It is to catch a fish with the hands by groping.
Oh, guddling is to catch a fish by hands by groping. So all those pictures on the web of the guys with the catfish like stuck on their forearm because they shoved their hand down the catfish's throat, that's guddling. All right, don't do that to a goat.
There's also a Scottish version which is to feel one's way with, or as if with the hands. It is a version of grope.
Yeah, but we're talking Scottish then.
Yes.
In which case it would be sheep, not goats.
Right.
Right. Okay. Got it. All right. So there you go. Here's to the two teams that are vying for the NCAA men's championship in basketball this year. KU went into last year, went into what would have been the tournament as the number one seed overall, and of course the tournament was canceled. So they are not just playing for this year's team; they're playing for last year's team as well that did not get a chance to win a national title. So here you go, Rock Chalk Jayhawks, North Carolina. I ain't got nothing against you much, but we got to go with our beloved Jayhawks. So Rock Chalk Jayhawks, go KU, swoosh, and beat North Carolina tomorrow. That would be good. Make it a good game, but not too good because I'd like to have some nerves left. So, all right, I think that's it. I think we're done. We're skating out of here a few minutes early, which is surprising because we got started with technical difficulties and all that sort of thing. So I've been ripping through here despite being not very awake. Maybe that's why. It's because there's not been a whole lot of banter. I don't have a whole lot to banter about. So I should just end it. We made some cocktails, some of which were daggone good, some of which were okay, some of which were, what the heck? Still don't understand this drink. I just don't. Yeah, this is that one. I don't understand it. But it is good to note that the Dickles whiskey and the Patron and Yeho or Resposado actually work well together. So maybe at some point I'll come back to that next year and put something else in it besides Aperol, and we'll see what we can do. But that's not it. Not it. Not it. All right, that's it. We're done for another week. Next week is going to be 103. I'm not sure what we're going to do for that. Hopefully there will be some celebratory drinking in play for KU. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I am Pooch Pacucci, my lovely wife Star Pacucci. We are Lovecraft Cocktails, and this has been Quarantiki number 102. Go forth and drink, or stay in and drink. Just drink. Whatever you want. Water, soda, cocktails, and go KU.